Welcome to Conversations with Aaliyah. Tune in for inspiration, information, and upliftment as creatives and entrepreneurs share their journeys, challenges, and successes.
Hi, on today's episode, our guest is Arron Lloyd. Arron was born in the inner city in a single mother household. Arron has an appreciation for what it takes to create the life you deserve. As a theater, TV film actor, and certified one-star dual elite neuroencoding specialist, Arron helps actors, creatives, and entrepreneurs encode themselves to default to their best, helping them eliminate, mitigate, and destroy the thieves of their dreams. Thieves like procrastination, hesitation, fear of failure, fear of success, self doubt, self loathing, imposter syndrome, fear of rejection, stress, and overwhelm. So, thank you, Arron, so much for being my guest here.
It's an absolute honor and privilege. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. So first, let's talk about you as an actor. Like recently you did a commercial for football, NFL. Yeah?
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. It was like a childhood dream coming to me in real time because I grew up playing football. That was kind of like one of my outlets to avoid trouble and things like that. And one of my skills that I was blessed with, yes, I grew into athleticism, but I don't have the size. I don't have the bulk. I'm not like a Ray Lewis or anything like that. I wasn't blessed with those kinds of gifts. So to be in that commercial was kind of like a childhood. It was my way of being into the NFL, which is cool. So it was a Bud Light commercial for the NFL, and it played all throughout the last season, which was cool, which was amazing. It's like a bucket list item. So I'm really grateful for it.
Oh my gosh, that is so cool. And congratulations on that. You're still an actor now,
Mhm.
but you're also doing coaching as well. And how did you first get into coaching and how long have you been doing it?
So coaching, to answer direct, I started around 2020, and even prior to that, I would say that I was kind of sharpening those. I think it's a gift because the through line of my life is that I've been the kind of person that people would come to for advice or wisdom or what should I do about this, and I've always kind of had a heart for people. I've always had a heart to serve. It brings me joy, and it makes me happy to know that if there's something that I can do, if there's a gap that I can fill, that I will. And if I can't, then I'll just be like, hey, I can't do that. I'd recommend this resource, this resource, this resource. So I started officially coaching because it's a difference between having a talent and having a skill. And coaching is a skill. And I'm blessed with the talent, and I also have sharpened it into a skill that I'm still refining, by the way.
Oh,
Right? If
sure. Yeah.
your coach doesn't have a coach, you should probably get a different coach. You make
Yes.
sense?
Yeah.
So I got into it in 2020, and then kind of discovered from peers and people that I really respect and look up to that you got it. So when enough people, especially people that you really admire strongly, are indicating, no, man, you're better at this than you think you are, and what you're giving yourself credit for, it's that self-loathing or imposter syndrome, right? Then you got this. So when your talents are being validated in multiple rooms, especially in rooms that you thought you'd never be in, it's worth it's
Yeah.
it's worth diving
Can
into.
Can you be more specific if you want to, like what kind of rooms you didn't expect to be in that was influential in motivating you to pursue and be a coach as well as an actor?
Yeah, well, acting started in way when I was in third grade. I can share that story. And then for coaching, just being on stage with Les Brown and Joseph McClendon III, who's Tony Robbins' business partner and best friend,
Yeah.
having Joseph as a direct mentor. I talk to him weekly. I talk to him monthly. Talk to him all the time.
Wow.
And
Nice.
so just opening for Les Brown, who and also
Les Brown is like a legend in the self-development arena.
he's my icon.
Ah, wow. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, just speaking for them, opening for them, things that and it wasn't something that I like sought out to have happen. It's one of those things that kind of I don't want to say fell into my lap because I've worked my whole life to become who I am and made a lot of sacrifices and things like that. And this is just, I think, God's way, the universe's way, energy's way of saying, "Hey, man, here's
Yeah.
here's what you worked for."
Well,
Um,
how did you even get invited to speak for Les Brown? Like, how did that even happen?
so
If you want
initially,
to say.
No, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
let me preface, any question I ask, you do not have to answer.
I'm happy to just have a conversation, be transparent. It's all good. I'm an open book. It's so essentially I was back in 2022 was my first time speaking for Joseph McClendon III. And I closed his event in
Uh-huh.
Vegas
Uh-huh.
and shared a little bit of my story, like 10 minutes 10 minutes of my story. And this is the thing that really kind of clicked for me. And it's still because I think as we're in our stories, we're just like, or I'll speak for myself. As I was in my stories, like, yeah, man, yeah, I grew up in the hood. Yes, I had this challenge. Yes, single parent home, but there's people in Africa walking 20 miles to wells and things like that. So I kind of diminished my story or the power and the impact that my story has. And when I shared my story for the first time, those 10 minutes, people are coming up to, wow, you don't realize the power that your story had, and that first Vegas event was powerful for me. The next year or later that year was the second time I spoke for Joseph McClendon III, and this time they invited me. They invited me. I basically crafted a speech, sharing more details of my story, and empowering the audience at the same time. Now, during that event, the thing that kind of had me looking like left and right was that on the program, because I didn't know what order I was going to speak in, I just knew that I was going to speak at this event. And when I get there, I'm coming after Joseph McClendon third. Like, wait, this got to be a mistake. There's no way I'm closing after. There's no way that he's Joe. He's who he is,
I
and
don't
I
I don't
close.
know who he is though,
That's
unfortunately.
fair. So yeah, so if you don't know who Joseph McClendon III is,
Yeah.
and you're not familiar with Tony Robbins kind of developed the coaching industry. Tony Robbins has coached celebrities. He's coached the person that developed Salesforce. He's developed. He's coached Nelson Mandela, Mother Teresa, all those kinds of things. Joseph McClendon III is his business partner and friend, his best friend.
Wow. Okay.
So, so that's kind of like
Yeah.
where like the weight for me at least. All we all have different people that we look up to and admire and things like that. For me, Joseph is somebody that I greatly admire and respect. So when when I was selected to speak after him, that was kind of like a pinch me moment. And then after that, somebody came up to me and said, "Yo, I've not seen many people follow Joseph McClendon III. That's a feat." So
Yeah.
that was the second time I closed for him. Now, your question was, how did I get into the coaching, right? Was your question? How did I get into,
Yeah, there was
or
that, but now I also have the question like what was your story? And is there any way to do just a brief overview in like a couple of minutes and then maybe people can follow you or talk to you directly to get a fuller story later. But what was the quick story that you shared that was so impactfed?
yes,
So, both
I want to,
questions.
yeah, so I'll get to the Les Brown joint and then talk about my story a little bit as well. So
Yeah.
that segued into initially in Atlanta, I was going
Yeah.
to open for Malcolm Jamal Warner, who is a
Uh-huh.
child star with Cosby Show, all that kind
Yes.
of stuff.
Yes. Yes.
Because of, you're in the industry too, he obviously is a working actor and demand actor, and he couldn't make it to the event. So they said, "Hey, Malcolm can't make it. We know you crafted a speech to open for him. We'd like to offer you this. And would you do this?" I was like, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Absolutely, I will open for Les Brown and Joseph. Are you kidding me?" So that's how
Yeah.
that happened. Now
Okay.
into my story, that first Vegas event. It's really as simple as this. Like, I grew up in a single parent home, young oldest of three, two younger sisters, metal detectors I had to walk through every day going into school. All these things I thought were
Mm,
normal, being wanted
mm,
every day. Saw fights
mm,
almost every day. Drug
mm.
dealers, gang members, all this kind of stuff. The typical. I don't want to make it seem like when I'm saying that it was like a straight out of Compton opening scene where Easy E is jumping on top of the roofs and things like that, and there's a tank that comes through. Because there's humor and there's light and joy in growing up like that too. And what I mean by that is, like, if you ever seen the movie Friday by Ice Cube, there's
Mm-mm,
humor, there's laughter, there's things like that. Oh, you haven't seen it? Okay, okay.
mm-mm, mm-mm.
It's a good movie. It's a hood classic. So
Yeah.
it's a good movie. But just to give an overview of that story, growing up that way, single mother, watching her do whatever she could to take care of her family, doing my best to make sure that she was good, because you don't want to see anybody you love struggle. And then being at that age, it's like, what can I do? I couldn't work. I couldn't do anything. I want to be, and then having sisters in that environment too. How do I be a positive example, protect them and things like that so they don't get involved in wrong things? The best way I can do that, and for me getting out of the situation as well, is being an example myself. What do I have to sacrifice? How do I have to be in order to mitigate the trouble that they're getting into. We're all human. We all make mistakes and things like that. Nobody's perfect. And I just wanted to do everything I could to make sure my sisters were safe and they were good, and talk to them about whatever I need to talk to them about, and make sure they were on the bus after school, make sure they're home in the house safe after school, making sure their homework was done, all that kind of stuff while my mom was working. It was my way of being able to, like, hey, mom's working. I need to do what I need to do to make sure things are cool here until she comes home and do all that kind of stuff. So that's a brief snippet, and there's more nuance and things like that. But that's essentially what I shared in Vegas, uh,
Mm,
with some more detail. I don't remember the exact what I spoke specifically about, but overview. That's
right.
kind of what I talked about.
And you ended up getting positive encouragement to develop your skills that people already came to you with to do coaching now, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that happened at later, because then the part of the story as well is that when I got to New York, I kind of found myself in this catch 22, because as an actor, and I think a lot of people will relate to this, or maybe they won't, everybody has different situations. When I came to New York, I've never had,
Where were you before?
before New York, I
Yeah.
graduated from UConn. So UConn, I graduated from UConn, and then a month or two after graduation, I moved to New York,
Okay.
right?
Where's Yukon?
Oh, UConn is in Connecticut.
Okay.
UConn represent the
Thank you.
Huskies. They just won the NCAA championship. You know what I'm saying? Got to
Oh,
shout them
cool.
out.
Okay.
Shout
Okay.
out the drama program too is dope. So,
Okay.
UConn is University of Connecticut, and that's where I went to school. Proud alumni. And once I graduated, I moved to the city, and I kind of fell into this catch 22 where I wanted nothing more than to do what I was doing in school, because I came
Hmm.
to it from a conservatory program. Act all day, get to play, get to do what you love to do. It's just you're doing what you love to do all day. Suddenly being in New York, one of the most expensive cities in the world, having to work, that eats up half your day, not getting enough pay, all that kind of stuff. So I was
Yeah.
working a job, not getting paid enough, still having to scrounge for change. I have a whole nother story with that, to be able to change for bills so I could go buy a loaf of bread, peanut butter
Mm,
on a spoon for dinner, things like that. Sleeping on the floor because I had to decide, do I want to keep the roof over my head, or is the bed more important? Those kinds of things as I was navigating the city. So the
mm,
financial strain of that. So that was my experience in New York, where I wanted to act. I went into auditions with desperate energy because, oh my God, please save me from this job. I just want, all that kind of stuff. So
right.
your question was, how did I get into coaching? The way I got into it was simply, there's no way I can continue living like this. If life is a gift and I believe in my talent, now where my talent brings me is none of my concern, of my interest, really. My interest is not being famous. My interest is not being all that kind of stuff. I just want to do what I do what I love to do, and do it with people I love to do it with, and do it at a high level. Whatever high level that means is neither here nor there. Now, obviously, you can be strategic and, like, I want this and have the team and all that kind of stuff, but my interest has never been fame. I just want
Mm,
to act. I want to act,
mm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
and I want to be respected by my peers for the quality of work that I do. So that's kind of been. Does that answer your question? I know it's a long-winded way.
So what came up was you said you grew up in the inner city. Which inner city did you grow up in?
I
Was
grew
it?
up in a place called Bridgeport, Connecticut. Okay, so I think for a lot of people, people hear Connecticut
Uh-huh.
and they think, oh man, we got ponies and horses and white picket fences and things like that, because it's a very
uh,
wealthy state and one
Oh,
of the wealthiest countries.
oh,
And I grew up in Fairfield County, which is one of the wealthiest counties, except Bridgeport's right kind of on the outside of that. So I grew up around seeing all this wealth, but Bridgeport's not like that at all. So
ah,
it was kind of like a dichotomy of that, like seeing it, just being able to taste it, but not quite being there.
yeah,
Juxtaposition
yeah.
of maybe your peers not having to get wanted. My high school is literally across the street from a jail,
Wow.
right? So,
Yeah,
so what is that communicating? You know what I'm
right,
saying?
right. Yeah,
Um, and all this was normal to me until I got to college.
sure.
My roommate, he was like, I was like, yeah, when you got wanted by, he was like, what? I was like, what? That's not normal to you? Like, what you talking about? That's not, oh, shit, okay. I'm sorry, shoot.
Yeah. Oh, no, it's fine. I swear all the time, but you're right. This is a podcast movie. So, Connecticut, inner city, didn't have a lot of money, but really close by. just within arm's reach. You could see the wealth around you, even though you didn't have any yourself. You went to Yukon State College, and that's when you first realized, hey, what I thought was normal, which I think everyone does, right? How we grow up as kids, we think everyone experiences the same thing. And then you realize, oh, not everybody does get wands. Cool. Graduated, loved acting, loved doing it, went to New York to act, worked at a job you didn't like, and it was not paying the bills, and you were struggling, right?
Yes,
And then you're like, this is not acceptable. This has got to change.
that's absolutely right.
Okay. And then is that when you started getting into, I mean, not specifically to do coaching, but got into that industry and found out more about it?
Like personal development, yes. And one of the first books I read was Think and Grow Rich, if you and your audience are familiar with that. And
Yes.
yeah, so that was my foray into it. And as I was reading this, I was like, this doesn't, I was kind of frustrated. I was like, this doesn't help me. Positive thinking is going to pay my bills next week, all this kind of stuff. And
Right.
I stuck with it. I remember listening to Les Brown, which is why that was a full circle pinch me moment for that. Because I would fall asleep listening to his stuff
Mm,
on YouTube.
yeah. And okay, I love this part especially. You read Think and Grow Rich, and you're like, this positive thinking, awesome, but how is that going to help me pay my bills? I think
Yeah.
that that's so relevant, right? Especially if we're struggling financially at the moment, or think we are, or feel we are.
Mhm.
What can you say, like, when did you start to believe that it did matter or that it did make a difference? How did it make a difference? You know, we're going to have people who are going to be listening saying, yeah, positive thinking, great. It's not helping me pay my bills. It's not helping me make more money. How is it really actually going to help?
That's exactly right. And I'm going to illustrate it with a story. Okay. So
I
I
love
want
stories.
I want you to imagine for a second, Aaliyah, that you and I are outside a castle. And this castle is obviously protected with a moat. And there's a moat, and the drawbridge is up, and there's piranha in the water, and the water's toxic, and there's fire, and there's kittens. There's all kinds of kittens in the water because some kittens are deadly. Okay? I say
They're deadly kittens.
they
They're not
are.
friendly kittens.
They be hitting you with them skibbity paps, you know what I'm saying?
I don't know.
No, you don't know the skibbity
I
paps?
don't know.
Paps when the cat be hitting you up?
Oh, like when they're like, shack, shack, shack,
Right?
shack.
Yeah, yeah,
They're like,
exactly.
yeah, okay. All right.
Cats, sleepy cat. So I want you to imagine for a second that you and I are outside that castle.
Mm,
And I look at you and I say, Aaliyah, on the top floor of that castle, there's a $10 bill.
uh-huh.
Just go swim across that pond, you go get it. Would you go get that $10 bill?
No.
Yeah, the majority of people ask that question would not.
Yes.
Now, let me ask you this question. Now, same situation, same drawbridge, same castle, same moat, same toxic, same kittens. And I say the castle's now on fire. On the top floor of that castle is the person you love the most.
Mm,
Does it change your relationship to wanting to go get that thing a little bit?
yeah, of course. Yeah.
That was my situation. I
Mm,
had no choice. I had to, like, even if, and this just grow like, I also have a mental toughness just from how I grew up. It was like, what else am I gonna do? If I believe that life is a gift, like what I'm doing is clearly not working. So even if I'm frustrated now because this is the situation, life is going to be lifey sometimes for everybody. Nobody's immune to the trials and tribulations of life. What makes a hero in all your favorite books are the adversities that they've overcome.
mm,
That's what, so if actors or your audience are going through things, trust that there's light at the other side of the tunnel. It's just always what
mm,
you think, what you feel, what you do, and what you have. If you change what you think, that's going to change how you feel over time. It's as if you have a glass of water and it's nothing but like black toxins in it. If you keep on pouring healthy water in it over time, it's eventually going to spout out and it's going to have new water. So how do you change your thoughts? How do you change your experience? The more people that you hang out with, you are the five people that you associate with the most. Financially, emotionally, happy people are going to be with happy people. Angry people are going to be with angry people. Sad people are going to be with sad people. Funny people are like funny people. I know you're an improv and you do comedy yourself. So
yeah.
my bet is that a lot of your friends are hilarious, right?
I don't know.
Oh, man, I don't know. They ain't made me laugh in a minute. Right? But this is the same thing with your finances. And the challenge that I had as an artist, and maybe some of your audience will relate, is I felt like if I had money, and this is beliefs, now we're talking about beliefs, right? If I felt like I had money, then it would make me less of an artist somehow. Because now I'm
Mm,
not struggling as much, right? Now I'm not struggling, so I'm not an artist,
yeah,
right? That was just my thing. I don't know if it's anybody else's,
yeah.
but you have to shift your beliefs, right?
Mm.
In order to do that. So does that answer your question?
Yeah, we're starting to run close to time. So,
Sure.
just real quick, couple last questions.
Mhm.
Ultimately, at this point of your life, like, could you say from the time in New York, struggling financially, where you are now, like basically your transition and how it's helped and improved?
Has it improved?
Yes, it
I
has. It has. I
I
know
have a
it
bet.
has, right? I mean, I've only like interacted with you semi recently, and I know it's not what you told me it was before. So, how has it improved? Like, before, during, after, or currently? What's
Right.
next? Yeah.
I have a bed now, so I'm very excited about that. You know, bed's up now. I'm still not where I want to be, and I do know that where I want to be. That's
Yeah.
just nature of humanity, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
there's always more that I think I can give, have, create, all those kinds of things.
Yes.
Now, I have my own apartment. I have a bed. I am serving people. I am better. I'm financially literate. I'm better with my finances.
Yes.
Because finances is like math. If you do 1 + 1 = 2, it's not so much an art. If you do this, this happens,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
A challenge I think is I also live well beneath my means. I live very frugally, just because I want to be able to help my family in certain ways, right? So in order to do that, I'm gonna do what I need to do, right?
Yeah.
So so that's kind of where I'm at. So yeah, situations change. I'm much happier. I used to not smile. And that
Hmm.
that that came from just, I think, I know we're running out of time. That just came from like, I think, the trauma of being around where I was from. Like, stone face. You ain't finna mess with me. That's kind of where it was at.
Right.
And playing football. So, but smiling was something that I had to learn to do. I feel fulfilled. I'm happy. I feel like I'm in my purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm around great people. I'm in rooms that I never thought I would be in.
Your vibrations feels and looks to me really high.
Thank you.
Very like, you know, I don't know what the word is. I'm terrible with describing things, but just, and I keep repeating it like inspirational, like enthusiastic, like infectious, like in a positive way, It just feels really uplifted.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Somebody else said that to me the other day. So I received
Yeah.
that so much.
Yeah.
And I think the world needs that. The world needs, not only the world, but our industry as well needs that.
Yeah.
People need that.
Yeah. Agreed.
There used to be fire drills for schools and children, and now they're having shooting drills. So the world has changed. So it's a lot of things, and I'm equipped with the skills. So I know we can't, one person can't change the world, and I'm going to do my part to impact the people that I can, because it only takes 4% of the world to change for a tipping point of positive change.
Mm,
That tipping point of positive change. So if I could do my part to
right.
impact the people that are drawn to me and that I'm drawn to and that are meant to be served by me so they can go serve somebody else, then I'm happy to do that.
Exactly. My second to last question is how do we follow you? What's upcoming for you that you want to promote or share? How do
Yeah,
we stay in contact with you?
there's a couple ways. On socials, you can find me on Arron Lloyd, ARRON LLOID, Instagram, Facebook, all those things. Um,
LLOYD?
Yeah, a lot, a
Yes.
lot of double letters.
Yes.
And Aaron empowers if you want to dive more into beliefs and shifting and mitigating and eliminating those things. And
Yeah.
then what I'm working on now is, obviously my mission this year is to positively impact 30,000 people. I say actors because I relate the most with actors. I'm an actor myself. I know I'm equipped to help them.
Yeah.
And it's not limited to. I also, for speaking engagements, I'm counting that. For one-on-one clients that are entrepreneurs, I'm counting that. And I just want to be able to help and reach more actors. So my way of doing that is through an 8-week program that I put together. It's called Actors in Demand. So that's going to be an 8-week process to help you go from struggling to in demand. Now, what's that mean? struggling in whatever area that you deem it in, because the system will work for you in whatever area that you want to apply it to. In demand meaning in demand with your mindset, in demand as an actor, booking more, magnetizing the opportunities, the circumstances, and the people that you want to be able to get to where you want to be. So that's that. What else is coming up in 2025? I have a project coming out. I can't speak about it.
Ooh,
So
a film project, I'm guessing.
I can't say a word. I can't say anything. Nothing,
Okay.
nothing, nothing.
Okay. Cool.
But I'm looking forward to that.
Awesome. Maybe in 2025, you'll have to be talking more about that
I'm
project.
happy.
You know,
Yeah,
come back. Yeah.
absolutely.
Last question, just for fun. I don't know. I was thinking like maybe this might be a fun question for everybody, just kind of like a silly one. Like, what is your most favorite food and why? Or what is your least favorite food and why? And describe it in detail.
Ooh, I
Detail.
love it. I love it. My
I don't
favorite
know.
food. You know what? You know what? You got to zig and zag sometimes. So I
Yeah.
like to eat pretty healthy.
Yeah.
And if my mom was cooking like her fried chicken, she'd be putting it down with her fried chicken. Like I don't eat fried
Yeah.
chicken all the time or fried food, but if my mama make fried chicken, the
Yeah.
way she season it, the way she makes it
Yeah.
is good. It's rich in flavor. It's just the right amount of texture, and it's made with love. You know what I'm saying? Mom always made
Yeah.
things with love, so I appreciate that. And then
Yeah.
least favorite. Well, does that answer your question?
Yeah. That answers it.
Cool,
That
cool.
was it. That was fantastic. I loved it. I mean, if you want to, you can answer the least favorite food and why, but that was great.
Least favorite food. I can't think of one. Oh, you, you know what? I'm not gonna eat. This just came in my head.
Yeah.
Black licorice jelly beans. Who likes those? You know what I'm saying?
I know somebody who loves them.
Really?
Yes.
Everybody's different. Hey, more power to them, you know?
Yes. Yes.
But for the rest of us,
Yuck.
nah,
No.
it's not giving what it's supposed to give.
No. I agree. This was fantastic, Erin. I just want to thank you so much for being my guest here and continued success. Thank you for sharing yourself with us here.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure. Blessings.
Thank you so much for listening to Conversations with Aaliyah Lay. I'd love to hear from you. Follow me on Instagram at Aaliyah Lay, ALYALEI.